may see in yourself or colleagues. Right? Because as taking care of ourselves, we have to take care of each other. Oftentimes, when we see those negative behaviors, or we feel them, we're like, nope, don't like that. They can't see this in me. I don't like the way this makes me feel. Or we push it down, right? Or we ignore it. But I invite you to think about this. Instead of pushing it down and ignoring it, sit with it for a minute and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And how can I move through these feelings? Because oftentimes what happens, especially with anger, when we see it, folks are very reactive. Think about folks in your office, think about your personal lives. When we see anger, it's like, okay, let me react in a negative way to your anger. But I invite you to pause and think about what's driving that behavior. Is it loneliness? Is it fear? Is it frustration? Is it hurt? Maybe there's some shame there. Any of those things that's listed on that wheel. And so by simply pausing and thinking about what's driving the behavior, instead of negatively reacting to that negative behavior, we start to develop more of our emotional intelligence. And those emotions that we're feeling help us do two things. Know we need to reach out and seek help. And we'll talk about what help is. We're not talking always about professional help. And it also lets others know when they need to lean in and check in on us. So I just want to kind of pin that. We'll see that again at the end. And so we are in for a whole other wave of emotion and mental illness, mental issues as a reaction of these uncertain times. There was some research done by the American Institute for Stress before COVID. But this particular slide highlights some of the next wave of information that we found. When we think about workplace well-being, when we are faced with potentially traumatic events, about 65% of people are going to show psychological symptoms. I know there are a lot of clinicians in the room. I am not one. And so we all know that trauma looks different from person to person. Trauma could have been the pandemic that we just experienced. Trauma could have been loss of students or faculty and staff on your campuses, down to personal losses. 65% of people are going to show psychological symptoms as a result of those traumatic events. And so that's why it's important that we pause when we notice those negative emotions, those scary emotions, and sit with and think about what's causing them. I know higher education, bottom line, students was first, right? Bottom line is, what is our budget? How are we taking care of it? I work with a lot of corporate clients and they're all about that bottom dollar. Job stress, check this out. In the United States, it costs employers more than $300 billion